A used Ute badge can cost you more than the vehicle underneath it. 5 Utes on the Australian market once wore price tags that rivaled or beat a base-spec HiLux several times over, and today every one of them can be driven off a dealer's lot for less money than a new HiLux SR cab. That's not the badge losing relevance. That's the market quietly telling you what these Utes actually cost to keep running, and the number isn't on the price sticker. A cheap price on something that was never built cheap usually means somebody else already paid for the expensive part and walked away from it. 5 Utes, ranked by how hard that gap between sticker price and real cost bites, and the last one on this list was a badge most tradies would never expect to see this low. Worst pick number 5, Ford Ranger Raptor 2018 to 2022, PX MK3, 2.0L bi-turbo diesel. When the first Ranger Raptor landed in Australia in 2018, it was the most expensive dual-cab Ford had ever sold here, priced from $74,990 before on-road costs. Buyers weren't just paying for a Ranger, they were paying for a purpose-built off-road platform with its own suspension, its own wheels, its own drivetrain tune. Today a 2018 model with around 180,000 kilometers on the clock sells for under $39,000, and low-mileage 2019 examples sit in the low to mid-40,000s. That's a genuine bargain on paper, until you look at what's underneath the badge. The Raptor runs a twin-turbo 2.0-litre diesel paired with a 10-speed automatic, both firsts for this segment in Australia, and both built around complexity that a standard Ranger simply doesn't carry. Parts for the unique Fox-tuned suspension, the wider track, and the specific wheel and tyre package aren't shared with the rest of the Ranger range, so replacement costs run well above what a regular Wildtrak owner pays for equivalent work. None of this makes the Raptor unreliable. It makes it a vehicle where routine wear items cost like performance parts, because that's what they are. If you're chasing one at this price, budget for tyres and suspension work like you're running a Raptor, not a Ranger, because that's the vehicle you're actually buying. Worst pick number 4, Nissan Navara N-Trek Warrior 2019 to 2021, D23 Series 4. Nissan didn't just badge engineer this one. The N-Trek Warrior was developed locally by Premcar, with its own suspension tune, its own testing program at the Australian Automotive Research Centre, and a drive-away price of $62,990 to $65,490 when it launched in December 2019, comfortably ahead of a standard Navara and within striking distance of a well-spec'd HiLux SR5. Today, a 2019 example with around 133,000 kilometers sells for $38,000, and even a lower mileage 2020 model can be found in the mid-40,000s. The appeal was real, a Navara re-engineered specifically for Australian conditions, with a 5-year warranty intact. The catch is that the Warrior suspension package, its unique springs, dampers, and geometry, isn't a bolt-on accessory. It's a proprietary tune that most generalist mechanics haven't worked on and most part suppliers don't stock as a default line item. That means anything beyond routine servicing tends to route back to a Nissan dealer or a handful of specialists who know the Premcar spec, and that access isn't free. You're not buying a bad Ute here. You're buying a low-volume specification of a mainstream Ute, and low-volume specifications always cost more to keep authentic once the warranty clock runs out. Worst pick number 3, Volkswagen Amarok TDI 550 Highline 2017 to 2019, 2H. This is where the pattern shifts from special edition to different mechanical universe. The old-shape Amarok V6 Highline wore Volkswagen's flagship Ute price tag when new, positioned above anything Toyota or Ford offered at the time. Today, a 2017 Highline with roughly 148,000 kilometers on it can be bought for under $20,000, and a comparable 2018 model in core trim sits around $27,000 drive away. That's less than half what a decade-old HiLux SR in similar condition asks for. The V6 turbo diesel and the ZF 8-speed automatic are genuinely capable pieces of engineering, smoother and more refined than anything else in this segment at the time, but they're also European componentry running through Australian workshops that are set up, stocked and trained around Toyota, Ford, and Isuzu parts bins. Timing chain tensioner wear on the early V6 is a widely reported issue on Amarok owner forums and among independent diesel specialists, and it's not a job most general mechanics want to quote on without ordering parts from overseas first. None of that makes the engine bad. It makes routine work slower and pricier than the sticker price suggests, because you're paying trader labor rates for boutique brand parts logistics. Worst pick number 2, Volkswagen Amarok TDI 550 Ultimate 2017 to 2019, 2H. Take everything from the Highline and go one step further. The Ultimate was the genuine flagship of the old-shape Amarok range, VW's answer to what does the most expensive Ute in Australia look like, with leather trim, larger wheels and every option box ticked from a factory. A 2018 Ultimate with around 138,000 kilometers now sells for roughly $30,000 to $31,000 drive away, a number that would barely get you into a mid-spec used HiLux SR5, let alone what was once VW's Halo Ute. The mechanical story is the same V6 and 8-speed combination as the Highline, so the timing chain and cold start concerns carry over, but the Ultimate adds a second layer. Its larger alloy wheels and lower profile tires cost more to replace, and worn air suspension or electronic components on the top-spec cabin tech are Ultimate-specific parts, not shared across the wider AMROC range. That narrows your parts pool even further than the Highline. This is the clearest version of the trap so far. The vehicle that was built to be the most expensive thing in the segment is now one of the cheapest Utes with a 6-cylinder badge on the back, and every dollar VW spent making it feel special is a dollar you'll spend keeping it running. Worst pick number 1. Mercedes-Benz X-Class 2018 to 2020, X350D, X250D. Here's the one that ties the whole list together. When the X-Class launched, the range-topping X350D Power and later Edition 1 variants pushed close to $90,000 drive away, the first time a Ute wearing a 3-point star badge had gone on sale in Australia. Today, 2018 examples sell for between roughly $27,000 and $50,000 depending on spec and condition, meaning the flagship X350D can now cost less than a base HiLux workmate. Here's the mechanism nobody selling you one at that price will lead with. Underneath the Mercedes badge, the X-Class is built on a Nissan Navara chassis, sharing its engine architecture, much of its interior structure, and its assembly line in Spain through the Renault-Nissan-Daimler alliance. That's not necessarily a reliability problem. Navara mechanicals are well understood in Australia. The trap is what happens when that Navara-based hardware needs a part with a Mercedes stamp on it, or a service booked through a Mercedes-Benz dealer network priced for C-Class and GLE customers, not trader Utes. The X-Class was also subject to an official recall covering more than 6,000 vehicles in Australia over a rear axle radial shift ring seal that could allow an oil leak, a fix that, again, runs through Mercedes-Benz service pricing. You end up paying luxury brand overhead on what is, mechanically, a well-proven workhorse underneath. That's the entire trap in one vehicle. The badge that made it expensive when new is the same badge making it expensive to own now that it's cheap to buy. Every Ute on this list tells the same story from a different angle. The purchase price only ever reflects what the first owner paid to feel like bought something special, whether that was a Premcar suspension tune, a German V6, or a 3-point star on the grille. None of that specialness disappears when the price crashes. It just moves from the price tag to the parts invoice and the service bill, where it sits waiting for whoever buys the vehicle next. If you're chasing one of these because the number on the windscreen looks too good to pass up, the number that actually matters is what a specialist, a dealer, or an import part supplier will charge you the first time something wears out. That's the real price of the badge, and it's paid in installments, not upfront. If a price this good has ever made you wonder what happens after the sale, the next video on Utes that look like a bargain until you own one goes even further into exactly